The Vatican released the first images and videos of Pope Francis in his open coffin on Tuesday, April 22. The Pope is dressed in a red robe with a papal mitre on his head and a rosary in his hand. According to the Vatican, the images and videos were taken on Monday, April 21 in the chapel of the Casa Santa Marta. This is Pope Francis's residence at the Vatican, where he died on Monday at the age of 88. The Pope's remains are expected to be transferred to St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican starting Wednesday, April 23, to lie in state. The funeral mass will be held in St. Peter's Basilica, where the Pope's immediate predecessors were buried. The Vatican earlier released the Pope's will, where he expressed his wishes regarding the place of his burial. Pope Francis requested for his remains to be buried in the Papal Basilica of St. Mary Major. He also asked for his tomb to be simple, bearing only the inscription of Franciscus. The funeral of Pope Francis will be held on Saturday, April 26, according to the Vatican. The remains of Pope Francis will be transferred to St. Peter's Basilica to lie in state on Wednesday, April 23. The funeral will then be held at 10 a.m. on Saturday local time, which is 4 p.m. Manila time. The Vatican says Dean of the College of Cardinals, Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re, will preside at the funeral mass. The mass will mark the beginning of Novemdiales, or the 9 days of mourning and masses for the repose of Pope Francis' soul. The late Pope's body will then be taken to the Basilica of St. Mary Major for entombment. This is in line with the Pope's last wishes as described in his will released by the Vatican. He used to visit the important Catholic sanctuary before and after every trip he took as pontiff. The Pope also requested that his tomb be simple and without decoration, bearing the inscription of Franciscus. Pope Francis died at the age of 88 on Easter Monday, April 21. Filipino mourners attend a requiem mass for Pope Francis's eternal repose at the Manila Cathedral on Tuesday, April 22. During the mass, Manila Archbishop Jose Cardinal Advincula remembers how the late Pope reminded the faithful of how the Church should open its doors to the poor. Advincula says the Pope called for the Church to be merciful to all and be a welcoming home for the forgotten. Advincula also says the Catholic faithful's lives will be changed when one touches Jesus Christ's wounds in the poor, the sick, and the needy. He reiterates how the Pope became a true father to the Filipinos by showing his love through words and actions. He also recalls the Pope's papal visit in January 2015, which he said would be forever etched in the Philippines' national memory. Widely known as the People's Pope, Francis devoted his ministry by standing with the poor and oppressed. He also spoke out against war, conflict, and sexual abuse by several church leaders. Pope Francis spent 5 weeks in the hospital due to double pneumonia. His last public appearance was on Easter Sunday, where he also rode the Pope-mobile and met with the people. Pope Francis died of a stroke on Easter Monday at the age of 88. National artist Nora Aunor was laid to rest with full honors on Tuesday, April 22 at the Libingan ng mga Bayani in Taguig City. Escorted by the Armed Forces of the Philippines, Aunor's casket, draped with the Philippine flag, began with a departure honor, followed by a funeral march from the Hero's Gate to the designated burial site. Upon arrival at the grave site, the program continued with a final benediction by the assigned priest and final viewing for family, friends, and fans. The last viewing was followed by a final honor with a Philippine flag tapped by the military bugler and 4 ruffled drums. A 21-gun salute followed as Aunor's casket was lowered into the ground. Earlier Tuesday, Aunor's life and legacy was honored through a state necrological service at the Metropolitan Theater in Manila. During the program, Aunor's fellow national artist Ricky Lee and actor-director Joel Lamangan gave eulogies. Highlights from the service include Aisel Santos and the Philippine Madrigal Singers performing Walang Himala, a song from the 2018 musical revival of Ishmael Bernal's Himala. Meanwhile, Jed Madela and Angeline Quintos sang a duet of Superstar ng Buhay Ko, one of Aunor's greatest hits. Aunor's children Ian, Lotlot, Matet, Kenneth, and Kiko de Leon also expressed their gratitude to family, friends, and fans. Born Nora Cabaltera Villamayor in Iriga City, Aunor rose from humble beginnings to become the face of a golden era in Philippine cinema. Her performances in Himala, Bona, and T-Bird at Ako, among many others, earned her acclaim both locally and internationally. Aunor died of acute respiratory failure at the age of 71. Vice President Sara Duterte expresses optimism that she will win her impeachment trial before the Senate. In a chance interview on Tuesday, April 22, Duterte was asked about her recent endorsement of Senate candidates and allegations that it was an attempt to gain allies for her impeachment trial. In response, Duterte says her lawyers were confident about winning her impeachment case. Duterte also expresses her confidence in the lawyers handling her case. According to the Vice President, she and her lawyers met right after she went home from The Hague, Netherlands to tackle her impeachment case. She returned to the Philippines after visiting her father, former President Rodrigo Duterte, who is detained in The Hague over crimes against humanity charges. The House of Representatives impeached Duterte on February 5. Senate President Chis Escudero said the impeachment trial against Duterte will start by July 30, when a new set of senators from the 2025 midterm elections will sit as senator judges. Should she be convicted, Duterte will be permanently barred from public office, including the presidency in the 2028 elections. The Vice President earlier submitted before the Supreme Court a petition blocking the impeachment move. 7 unidentified men were found stabbed to death in a bakery in Antipolo City on Tuesday, April 22, according to police. In a report, the Antipolo police says the massacre occurred in Barangay Cupang at approximately 6 a.m. on April 22. According to police, the victims were asleep inside the bakery. An unidentified suspect then entered the premises and stabbed the victims, resulting in their immediate deaths. The cops also identified the victims as employees of the bakery. Police initially reported the number of victims to be 5, but the Police Regional Office 4 confirms that authorities found 7 victims. In a statement later Tuesday, the Rizal Provincial Police Office says the suspect was apprehended by police around 9 a.m. on Tuesday. The suspect was subjected to standard physical and medical examinations and is currently under police custody. The police further says the suspect's motive is still under investigation.